Drama Spot Reviews. Hello, fellow drama lovers, and welcome to Drama Spot, your new favorite destination for reviews of the hottest drama series. I have so many thoughts, so let's get into it. Episode 7, which I'm calling The Wolf of SINDH.
और जो नहीं मिला मैंने छीन लिया.
Who is this man? I have no idea who this is. It's like Invasion of the Body Snatchers. This is not the Uncle Asif that we have gotten to know for the past 6 episodes. I thought that he was just the most empathetic, loving, kind father and friend, but it looks like he's a wolf in sheep's clothing. That's not to say that you can't be two things at the same time, but what he's saying to Zaid right now is absolutely insane. He is cutthroat, and now I can understand why he is so successful and why their family is so wealthy. He didn't just fall into this. Honestly, I shouldn't be so surprised that Uncle Asif is an opportunist. I did accuse his best friend, Uncle Jaffar, of possibly being a murderer a couple episodes ago because I'm not sure what happened to his wife. I mean, what sane woman just ups and leaves her two small children with her ex-husband and moves away? Doesn't sound like something's right. And here we are with Uncle Asif. Not sure if he's a widower. Did she pass away? Is he divorced as well? I don't know, but all I know is the age-old saying, birds of a feather flock together. So now I'm wondering, did he deceive his wife? Is that why he had to build up the confidence and start the company to present this image of what he was not? Or was he honest and just a hustler and very ambitious and knew what he wanted, what he needed to do to execute that and achieve those goals, and was a go-getter who went after it? Now that I think back, I think our first peek of this side of him was shown when he was in the office with Uncle Jafar, who was confiding in him about Mubashira's divorce. Now, this is all after the anniversary party, and Uncle Asif was speaking highly of her. He didn't see anything wrong with her being aggressive. He said that was her nature, and he called her a lioness, and he thought that she was right. He also made the comment that had it have been his daughter, he would be fighting with her hand in hand. It's obvious that he has no qualms with fighting dirty and doing what needs to be done. So I'm eager to see how he handles this Ira situation. Uncle Jafar strategically planned out his life and what he wanted. He found probably the wealthiest woman with a powerful father and made himself to be who we see him as today. He is clearly unapologetic about his position on these issues and sees nothing wrong with going after what it is that you want.
I have a bit of advice for you. You have a life ahead of you, Zaid. जो तुम्हारे नसीब का है ना वो तुम्हें मिलेगा. जो ना मिले उसे छीन लो.
Yeah, he's telling Zayd that you can go ahead and snatch it, but so long as what you want is going to put you in a better position than where you currently are and maintain your position in society.
अपनी ख्वाहिशों को अपनी जिद बनाओ, and the world will be your voice.
Now things are making more sense to me, and I see that Uncle Asif was not being dismissive of Zaid's feelings and emotions. He just truly did not understand why Zaid would want to waste his time with loving a woman who is not beneficial to him, who will not increase his fortunes, because as he told Zaid, your fate is tied to the woman that you marry, and whatever she's fated to receive is what will be yours. So how could the only son of Asif Khan fall in love with the sister of an auditor? What could fate possibly have in store for such a girl that would be so beneficial to his son? This is why he was able to just quickly decide and say, no, we're not going to be going to her house with a proposal. And don't worry, you'll fall in love again. I know it sounds condescending and awful, but I don't think he was coming from a bad place. He was coming from a place of trying to protect his son from making a huge mistake, at least in his eyes. What do you think? Can you understand why Uncle Asif made the decision and said what he said? Let me know below in the comments. Now on to Miss Ira, who's looking oh so humble the next morning. Could it be because she realizes the consequences of her actions? For one, not being forthcoming with her family about her intentions, and two, for causing issues between her brother and Asıya. Whatever the case may be, she finally decides to listen to Zaid and let her brother know about her relationship with him. Of course, as expected, because Amir is a really great brother and a great man, he thinks that she's making this decision because of the fight that he had with his wife. So he tells her, hey, you don't have to make such an important decision so quickly. This is your house. You're not a stranger in this house, nor are you an imposition. And Ira's like, no, brother, no, I really like him. I have been seeing him. His name is Zaid Asif, and he's the son of the owner of AJ Group of Companies. And her brother is like, wait a minute, AJ Group of Companies. Uh-oh, this sounds like a recipe for disaster. And guess what, Amir? You are absolutely correct. Now I know that he's thinking all of this, but not once does he say anything to Ira. I think he's trying to think of the best way to say something, or he's giving her the benefit of the doubt that, okay, this is going to really happen. My sister is level-headed, so she must know what she's talking about. She's wise. She can make decisions for herself. Now, under ordinary circumstances, I think that that would be true, but with a trying to think of a name for him. Um with a to-be father-in-law like Asif Khan, she doesn't know what's in store for her, and neither do you. Although I think you do. Now, I think Asya is totally milking the fight that she had with her husband. There's nothing wrong with this woman. All of a sudden, you fight and now you're in bed with a high grade fever. Give me a break. You're just milking this and looking for sympathy. Anyway, Ira goes to her to try to smooth things over, the same song and dance about, oh, you're more like a mother than my sister, you take care of me, blah, blah, blah. Ira cryptically tells her Bobby that she'll be leaving soon without getting straight to the point and telling her, like she told her brother Amir, that she had met someone and his name was Zaid. So I found that to be really weird. If you're saying that Asıya is just, she's not only your friend and more than a sister, but your mom, then why not just tell her? Again, keeping secrets between you and your brother, and this was the source of the problem in the first place. Did anyone catch when the two of them were talking and Asıya grabbed her hand back? She pulled it away from Ayra. I definitely made note of that. She's still really upset with Ayra and her husband. I know she's upset with him because she left him to make breakfast for himself. Later on that evening, Ira calls Zaid. What's new? But tonight's different because she's finally told her brother and she hasn't heard from him. She wants to know what's going on because she's just having such guilt about what's happening in her home between her Bobby and her brother. I can only imagine poor Iris just sitting there like, "Where are you, Zaid? Where are you? Why aren't you answering? What did your dad say? What's going on? You always pick up my calls. Something must be wrong." And you would be 1,000% correct. Something is more than wrong. Zaid has hit a wall, and the wall is his father, and he doesn't know how to get over it at this point. I understand that, he has a lot to process, but he could at least send her a text message letting her know what's going on instead of leaving this poor girl wondering what's happening. Now, I knew that conversation on the boat was going to come back to haunt Uncle Asif because he did say that Zaid was his brightest child, and he proved that.
अपनी ख्वाहिशों को अपनी जिद बनाओ and the world will be yours.
All I can do is laugh because what Zed's doing right now is literally what his father told him to do. He told him to make his desires, his contumacy, right? And essentially not let go of that and snatch what you want, and the world would be yours. And so now Zed is digging in his heels. He has drawn his line in the sand and he is telling his dad, "No, all I want is Ira. That is it. I'm not going to do anything else. I don't want to hear anything else about Mubashira. It's either Ira or nothing." The part that I loved most was Zaid throwing back at his father. Well, I can't take back my promise, just like you can't take back your promise. I'm my father's son, right? And there was nothing that Uncle Asif could say except respect his son in that moment because his son was emulating him, and that's exactly what he would do. Unfortunately for Zin, it looks like he has not fully learned everything that he needed to from the master because his father played to his ego exactly as he needed to. He got Zed to drop down his guard. Zed mistakenly trusts his father, and he's under the false presumption that he has won the battle when the poor guy doesn't even know that his father is playing chess and is 2 steps ahead of him because he has no intentions of backing down from his promise that he made to his best friend that their children should be married. As soon as Uncle Asif mentioned work in Lahore, I knew something was up. He was trying to get Zid out of the way, and I was right. I'm sure everybody else picked up on that as well. He was up to something. How do you go from telling your son that you're going to go to her house to deliver the proposal to, "Oh, by the way, there's a meeting in Lahore and I need you to go." Very disappointing, Zed, that you didn't pick up on that. but I guess you were just so excited that you're finally getting what you wanted. So you thought you won and dropped your guard. Big mistake. Now, Miss Kashmala, she surprised me, but I don't know why this Khan family is surprising me this episode. She I thought would be a little more sympathetic to her brother's plight. I guess she kind of started off that way, but then when she found out that their fates are intertwined and that he needs to marry Mubashira or her marriage to Rayyan may be on the line, she became a little selfish, I feel like. What really threw me for a loop is when she asked Zaid if he loved Ayra, and he said that love is not important for him. What the heck? What is he talking about right now? Did he not just tell his dad a couple days earlier that he loved her when he was seeking for permission to marry her? I really just need to know for certain, one way or the other. Are these two people in love? I mean, I don't think so, personally, just from what I've seen. And now we're hearing two different stories from Zed. So, what is it? Do you love her? What do you think? Let me know below in the comments. Now on to Madame Mubashira, the lady of the hour. She invites Umair over for dinner, which shouldn't be a surprise. We've been seeing a lot of Umair since he has reconnected with Mubashira, and thought that it was just another one of their dinner dates, but quickly saw that it wasn't when Uncle Jafar comes down to join them. And then I see, this was the plan. This was a plot between father and daughter. And Uncle Jafar starts talking about how, oh, they look, so good together. You look like such a nice couple. Why don't you think about marriage and just make it official? And then you start to see Umair's demeanor change. And then that's when I realized I was wrong about him all along. He's not interested in Mubashira. He wasn't trying to insert himself and get married to her. He just wanted to be friends. He then goes on to tell Uncle Jafar that, he's known Mubashira since college. They're such great friends, but she is self-centered and egotistical just like him. And that's why they make such good friends, but they could never be life partners together because they're just so similar. And my heart dropped. I just felt so embarrassed for Mubashira in that moment. I felt embarrassed for Uncle Jafar that they were being turned down by Umair. And for him to say the same exact thing that stupid Muhib said in his video, that no man could live with her, it just made me even sadder because I know that's her Achilles heel. That's her greatest fear that she's had. And Umair is just confirming that it's true. And like I've always said, I respect Mubashira for the fact that she knows herself. She knows her strengths and her weaknesses, and knowing how to speak to and relate to a man is not one of them. And she confirms this, but what's sad is that she takes it back to not having anybody in her life to teach her how to do these things. And that's similar to what Rayyan was saying to his dad and why he doesn't want to get married, because he has not had such great examples to show him what a successful marriage looks like. You know, just talking about this, it makes me feel like another title for this episode could have been, Sins of the Father. because we don't know what went down between Uncle Jafar and their mom, but her absence has wreaked havoc on their children. And right now, Mubashira and Rayyan don't know how to be good life partners to anyone. And it's not their fault. That's why I'm Team Mubashira. Wait a minute. I need clarification on this revelation from Mubashira right now that it was actually her father who married her and Muhib. Is he the one that found Muhib and brought him to Mubashira? What's going on here right now? I thought maybe that he sought out Mubashira, but did Uncle Jafar seek him out to lure his daughter back to Pakistan? Like, what's happening right now? Is this really all his fault? I still don't care for Muhib. This doesn't exonerate him, in my opinion. It's just giving me a little more clarity on my girl Mubashira and why she's just so distraught over this whole thing. But it's definitely making a lot more sense. Uncle Jafar probably thought that he found a docile man in Muhib, someone who would be able to just take and handle his daughter because he was so grateful to have been married into the family, because he wanted to make sure that his daughter was settled and okay, but it backfired because Muhib just couldn't stand up to such a strong woman like Mubashira. He didn't have the backbone to put her in her place and tell her how to treat her husband. Instead, he was a coward who courted her best friend behind her back and embarrassed her publicly in a need to quench his own desires for revenge and to feel more like a man. Enough focus on that loser. This situation with Umair has really brought Mubashira back to her lowest point, and now she wants to just be done with the whole situation and go back to the US, and she has no desire to get married anymore. You know that she's really sad and in her feelings because she tells her father to get Ryan married, that she really doesn't care, that she just wants to go back to the US. I really just don't want her to go back down into her dark place, but I really would love for her to go back to seeing the psychiatrist and take her father along with her because he needs help. How do you get from your daughter being sad about Umair to now trying to convince your best friend to accept your daughter as a daughter in law because you have agreed to allow your son to marry his daughter? But it's different. All this tells me is that Uncle Jafar is working from a place of desperation, and he's not thinking this through, because if what Mubashir says is actually true and he's the one that picked Muhib for her, then he is basically just allowing history to repeat itself. He may have good intentions, but you're not thinking this all the way through. This was a lot to unpack this episode. As always, I look forward to your comments below. Until next time, drama lover, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and comment. Thank you for watching Drama Spot Reviews.